is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iOS 26.5.1 is running on the iPhone 17 Pro. We have iOS 27 beta 1 here on the right. That's the dev beta, public beta coming out in July. But let's go ahead and see how this 27 beta is performing. We'll begin this video with a boot up test in 3, 2, and go, and see which one can get there first. And so one of the things about these two phones is that they both have a little bit of a different chip. We have an A19, A19 Pro, but iOS 27 does boot up first. Apple is saying that at the conference that the iOS 27 has been improved with responsiveness, app launches. However, I've been testing it already and I haven't been seeing that too much. I don't know if they added those enhancements just yet. Maybe they'll come in a later beta, but we'll do a speed test anyway. We'll do a benchmarks, kind of see how they perform. There are a couple areas where it does feel more responsive, but I haven't seen it too much versus like more current phones in terms of like just faster app launches and stuff. But let's go ahead and check this out. So let's start with the home screen areas. One thing I will say is that it does feel a little bit more fluid, especially on the 17 with this iOS 27 when scrolling through app library, kind of going through the pages does feel a little bit more responsive. And one area I really found already more responsive is the control center area. If I hit the plus icon over here to add a control, you'll see when we scroll through, very choppy there on the left with iOS 26, very smooth here on the right with the iPhone 17 on beta 1. So definitely they've cleaned this area up, and I have been finding the control center to just look a little bit nicer, a little bit smoother on 27, but kind of just generally going through. The real area I noticed is that transition between the app screen and the library, finally nice and smooth. So we are going to find more just general user experiences, just feeling a little bit more responsive day to day. And that's good because 26 hasn't been the most smooth version of iOS we've seen in quite some years, actually. All right, guys, so generally navigating the OS, you can see as I pull down, the device here is doing pretty good on both. We still don't see a number row on the newer 27, and that's pretty good. If we go ahead and hold down, you'll see different icons for editing over here. They tend to appear at the same clip right here. If I go ahead and add or edit pages here, let's do wallpaper, customize. You'll see it's all pretty much kind of going along at the same time, and nothing majorly different right there. If we hold down for Siri here on both phones, you're going to see they appear at about the same time, but you get the new Siri over there on the right with iOS 27, which is definitely a lot smarter. So that's nice. And then if we go ahead and click right here one more time, and we click down here, you'll see that was actually a little bit more responsive on the 27 on the right. When we click that to go to these different pages, it did look a little bit smoother to me. Yeah, that was definitely smoother to appear on the right, and there's more apps displayed on that page. So that's a little smoother. So just these like little transitions and things throughout the OS are going to feel smoother, and it's going to only get better as time goes on. You can already see it in this video. Just a few little things are already feeling smoother on 27. So this is a nice beta 1. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and launch some applications here. We'll start with calendar. You can see everything is good to go. Clock there, pretty good to go. If I go to calculator, that's also pretty good. If I go to App Store, that's also pretty good. So we're not seeing drastic differences. I do see that was weather on the left for 26. I do see that we do have different feature sets in here within the weather on the 27 right here. So that's pretty neat. Let's go into ChatGPT. And we are not seeing, you've seen that launch first there on the left. Let's go into Gemini. You'll see again on the left. Let's go into Groupon. So I'm not really seeing this massive like 30% faster launch so far. So I wonder if those enhancements are going to come later to future versions of iOS. Let's go into the Instagram profiles, and you'll see right here that was faster on the left. We'll go into X on both, and you'll see again faster on the left. We'll go into Google News, and you could see there was a pop-up, but pretty much the same. We're not seeing any drastic differences here. And you'll see there are some limits. I did talk about this in my initial beta 1 review on the base 17. There are some limits to Siri. So keep that in mind. You do get more powerful Siri expressive voices and stuff within the Pro series of the phones. If we go ahead and swipe out of here, let's go ahead and swipe out of here. You've seen they both launched that at about the same time as well. We'll go on the dead trigger 2. And you'll see this game is launching at about the same time. And overall, you're not seeing a substantial difference, I think, when it comes to just beta 1. But what's nice is that beta 1 is keeping up with an official and even smoother in some respects than an official version. So this is going to be probably a good year, I think, to run the beta process. I think they're going to be a lot smoother than some previous beta years. You might be able to get by just fine. So let's go ahead and head into RTS and see how that does. And overall, doing pretty good. Launching at about the same time. We'll go into Free Fire. And I think they were saying that there's the CPU scheduler now in 27, so it will make sure even older devices are running smoother on 27, including phones dating all the way back to the iPhone 11. We'll go into Destiny Rising, and you'll see launching kind of at the same time. This is pretty impressive, I think, for a beta device for sure. I think being that it's a beta, you wouldn't expect it to perform this well, but it just simply does. So I like that we're getting this kind of performance on a Dev Beta 1, meaning they didn't launch some junk right out the gate. That's a really good thing. And this is not really a major year in terms of changes to the design and stuff like that. It's pretty much going to be like 26, but just a little bit cleaned up, but more focus on performance. That's why I'm actually excited this year, because we do a lot of speed tests on this channel. So the fact that they're focusing on the performance this year is right up my alley. And you'll see everything very smooth. I didn't see a substantial difference though in launch speeds. Did you? Let me know if you've seen any down below. Again, we are looking at the 12 gig of RAM, A19 Pro on the left, but 17 keeps up just fine in these daily things like this. So let's go ahead and launch some reloads and stuff of that sort. Okay, guys, so let's go back through the applications. You're going to see they tend to perform pretty well. One of the nice things is that they were talking about is that even the older phones should be performing better on RAM management, as they found ways to kind of keep the apps preloaded in the background. This is going to be good for people that have 8 gig of RAM and lower iPhones and don't want to deal with relaunches. The iPhone is going to do this better than a lot of probably even Android phones at holding apps down the line as they continue to improve that kind of like pre-pause phase of the app where it's kind of like held in the background. Even if it's not fully launched, it's going to look really good even on some lower tier RAM iPhone. So I like this for it. But overall, I'm not seeing a substantial difference with 27 right now versus the latest version of 26.5.1. Okay, and here's some of my previous benchmarks. The iPhone 17 Pro should win because it has a better chip, but you'll see my previous one I did was on 26.3.1 for this phone. It's been a while since we did a benchmark on the 17, but you'll see 3558, 9173, and then over here I did one back in April, and you'll see that we did have better scores. But let's see if the 27.1, well, 27.1 is 27 beta 1 will beat that previous score on the 17. We'll just see how the 17 Pro does anyway, just to see kind of like how they match up. And so the final scores are in for the iPhone 17 Pro. Of course, as expected, it won. You could see over there on the iPhone 17 though, 3596, 9152. Now let's take a look at the previous version. We got a 9173 and a 3558. So we actually did better in the single core and just slightly off in the multi-core, just a little bit, but even better than some of my older scores from earlier this year. So definitely 27 is performing pretty darn well on the base. So last thing I want to do before we get up out of here is kind of do a quick camera test. So let's go ahead and look right here. We got the iPhone 11, which I am preparing for a future video on 27. So stay tuned if you want to see that classic, how it runs, as they were talking about older iPhones getting better. We'll launch camera in 3, 2, go. And you'll see it launched very quickly there on 27. I think it was even faster than the left. Yeah, very good there. So let's go ahead and tap shutter. Pretty good. So no substantial issue. We do have the new Siri in camera right there. So you can use Siri to kind of like identify things instead of having to hold down the camera control all the time to get to that visual intelligence type stuff. So that's a really good option there. And then one thing before we get up out of here, I wanted to show you that the new power off screen just looks a little bit different. Definitely looks a little bit more modern there. And you'll see over here on the left, kind of having last year's look. So definitely that's a little bit different. But other than that, not too bad for a first beta. Let me know your thoughts down below on iOS 27 Beta 1. What do you want to see going forward? And how yours has been performing if you downloaded this beta. I'll catch you on the next episode. And if you enjoyed this one, be sure to check out my Beta 1 review right here. I'll catch you on the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well and peace.